Nearly 5 months after the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863, I was invited to give a speech at the dedication of a cemetery for the Union soldiers who had died during the battle. It was difficult because many of the soldiers at the dedication had also fought in the battle. I had to somehow find a way to honor the men who had died in this horrific battle, but also remind the men who were fighting that they were fighting for a purpose. In 10 sentences, I reminded these men that they were fighting to keep the same ideas alive that our forefathers fought for in the American Revolution: freedom, equality, and democracy. These men were fighting to keep the Union together and keep democracy alive, so that it might later spread throughout the world. They were fighting to keep government of the people, by the people, and for the people alive. And these men would keep fighting for the next year and a half to keep these ideals and the memories of their fallen brothers alive. 77 years ago our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field, as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But, in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.